Hey everyone. Hello, kindly confirm you can hear me. Good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're joining from. You can use the chat to confirm you can hear me clearly or I need to make any adjustments. Great, thank you very much. Hi, Aleni. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. So I'll just wait for a few minutes for those who will be joining and then we'll make a start. Thank you, thank you. Yes, thank you. As we continue joining, may I request you to probably just introduce yourself in this format. Just write your name and your country and the field or the course you're planning to study. So if it were me, I would say Samuel um, from Nairobi, Kenya. Sorry, from Kenya. Looking forward to study, let's say, MSc Food Systems or Agriculture and Development, what I did. So just to know who is here, and also to feel a sense of what people want to study. Yeah. Happy to see all of you. We'll be starting in a few minutes. So if you could introduce yourself in the format I have explained, and probably those who will be joining us will be able to. Great. Rahaf, I can see you from Syria, planning to study MSc in sport nutrition. That's great. Yeah, Korkor from Ghana, MSc climate change. Peter, food security. Veronica, Zambia, international human rights law. Elizabeth, MSc communication, media and development. Bagele from Botswana, MSc applied positive psychology and coaching psychology. Nimi, yeah, yeah, we're just doing the introductions, and then I'll start in a few seconds. So if you could just indicate your name and your country and the course you're looking forward to study before we make a start. The other thing I'll be saying is that this might be our last masterclass because I know the scholarship is closing soon. So I'm just hoping that all the questions that you have, we will sort them today and that you'll go and write very, very nice essays that when the readers look at them, they'll be like, these are the people we are looking for. Nimi from Bangladesh, looking forward to study food security or sustainable food systems. Njunguna from Kenya, planning to study MSc human nutrition. Great. So you can see the kind of variety of the courses that all of you want to study, and it's great to have all of you. I don't take it for granted, and I want to thank you because I know that, I feel like this is within my values of helping people achieve their dreams. So, and also to bring out the best in people. So, Aleni from Tanzania, MSc Physics. Great. So, I'm planning to start in the next 1 minute. So, and this is how we're going to do it. So, my name is Sam, for those who are meeting for the first time, and I am a PhD student at the University of Greenwich, Natural Resources Institute. I study food systems, and specifically my research looks at food environments and linking that to dietary patterns. My first degree was in finance. I used to be a banker. So I worked for 3 banks in 4 years. I was in business banking. And that tells you can use the Chevening scholarship to change your career. But also means that I also did other things to do with agriculture at some point. The other um, thing I'd want to say is that I got the Chevening scholarship in 2019, 2020. It was my first time when I applied. And sometimes that's not the case. People apply even 5 times because Chevening is really, really competitive. And you have to give your best. So you have to give your best. Let me remind you that. So really competitive, and it depends sometimes on the country. So for example, I know Kenya gets around 40 slots, and they always have like 12,000 applications. And then they shortlist 100 who are interviewed to get the 40. So you can imagine to get shortlisted, which will happen maybe before the new year. Sorry, around Feb. That's when the shortlisting happens, and people do the interviews in March and April. So you really have to write quality essays. So you really have to write quality essays. The other thing I'd want to say is that because of that competition, that means you have to put your best foot forward. Yeah, thank you for those who are joining. If you're joining right now, please introduce yourself. Lastly, what I would want to say is that when you're writing your essays, one of the tools you can use is Grammarly. The basic Grammarly account allows you to check the grammatical errors in your essays. And even the Word document itself, the Word also helps you. So I've had a couple of people, we've had sessions with them, those who have booked previous master classes, and we've gone through their essays, and I'm like, oh, these are basic grammatical errors that even your Word document in your laptop will show in red that you need to correct them. So check those issues. And when you also get people who are willing to help you in reviewing your work, they're not there to write your essays. The essays belong to you. So give them the right. I mean, this is something I always say. If you get 30 minutes with someone to review your essays, you don't want to give the best of your work. So give the best of your work and follow the advice that at the end of the day, what really matters is how badly you want something. So when people who badly want the scholarship will go and research and write the best essays that they can. So I also think that you've also filled your personal details on the portal. Don't wait until the last minute. And I'm hoping please submit your application probably 2 days before the deadline. There's always an issue to do with the last day, so don't allow the last day because of the system issues. And I don't know whether they can extend. Wonderful. One of the other things to check when you're also doing the application bit before you go to the essays. Last year, from the feedback I read from the Chevening reading committees, a lot of applicants didn't go through the first stage, which happens in December, because they failed the eligibility test. And how do they fail the eligibility test? One of the main things is in their work experience. So follow the format and make sure that your hours end up to whoever they're looking for, add up to whatever hours they're looking for. So, and I've said there are guidelines in the website because some of the questions people ask are directly explained in the website. So who do I send my referees to? If you go to the Chevening FAQs, frequently asked questions, you'll find all the answers there. In terms of calculation of work experience, if you're doing a full-time job, then is it 8 to 5? So those hours multiplied by the number of hours people work in a week, and then multiplied by the number of weeks in a year. And of course, people don't work 365 days in a year, so you need to make those make those modifications in your calculation of your work experience. I've finished now looking at the introduction. So I want to focus on the 4 essays that you write for your Chevening scholarship. So we'll be looking at the leadership and influence essay, the networking essay, the studying in the UK essay, and you'll also be looking at the career plan essay. So the leadership and influence essay really looks for people who have potential for leadership based on what they've done in their lives. So, and we all know the definition of a leader. So please, we should have an introduction, but I really don't advocate people using quotes in the introduction. Some people have done it and they've gotten the scholarship. I would rather, based on the examples you'll give, the three examples you'll give, pick the overall theme of your leadership and then use that as an introduction. So, if you're writing on issues of challenging human rights in your country, and you've done that for a very long time, and your essays might look like challenging norms, challenging harmful practices like FGM, or maybe you might want to say, my leadership journey has been maybe you can use words like my leadership journey has been challenging the norms and maybe advocating for voices that are not heard in the community. And that is if the examples you give in your leadership essay are kind of talking about alleviating voices or making voices heard of the people who are normally not heard, or challenging norms, or things to do with gender, or things like female genital mutilation or female leadership. Those are kind of things that you do. You want to pick something that is general, coming out within your three examples of your of your leadership essay. In my case, I I was addressing community problems, and one of the things that defined me as a leader, I believe, was identifying the problem first of all, and then assembling teams, and then inspiring people to work on those challenges. So I used that example that you find in my blogs, because my blogs are kind of detailed, and you'll find some snippets of what I wrote. So I would say, first of all, focus on writing the three examples and ask yourself then, having written three leadership examples, what kind of introduction can I give to these three examples? Because as you all know, when you're writing an essay, sometimes you can start with the introduction if you already have an outline, but then you can also get an introduction based on what you've already written and picking what you'll be discussing in your essay. So, and the introduction should not be long. I would say that it should be probably less than 100 words, less than 100 words. So for the introduction, maybe two or three sentences, most two sentences. And then we look at your examples, the leadership examples that you give. So, and the introduction can be in its own paragraph, and then the three examples that you give should be in their distinct paragraphs. So, three paragraphs for the three different examples that you give. And in the example, the main thing I would really want to discuss is how to structure your examples. So, the way to structure your examples for leadership and influence is using the STAR approach. I'll keep on saying this. If you don't follow the STAR approach, you won't get that essay right. You won't get it right until you follow the STAR approach. The STAR approach helps you, one, in saying the things that answer the question. You might be saying very nice things about your essays, but you're not talking about your leadership. You're not answering the question. So the issue is, ask yourself, for everything you say in your essay, are you answering any of the questions that you need to answer for your essays? So S is for the situation or the problem, which should come first in your first sentence. If you are not mentioning the problem in your first sentence of your example, then you're missing the point. The first sentence should at least make the reader know what kind of problem are you going to talk about when you discuss the leadership example. And then T is for the task. What are you required to do? And then A is actions. What exactly did you do? and R is for results, and some people add an L at the end, sometimes lessons. And this is key because sometimes leadership doesn't have, your leadership examples do not have always to produce positive results. You could come up with an initiative and then it fails. But then you'd say, through this initiative, I learned that A, B, C, D, and lessons I'm willing to incorporate in future, maybe in future leadership situations, or maybe in future projects. If you're running a project, then you might want to say the lessons you've learned you can apply in the future. So, and the reason why I want to really emphasize this is because the kind of essays sometimes I've been looking at are people, they want they want to give a leadership example, but then they kind of take very long until like the third sentence. That's when you learn from the whatever they are writing what kind of problem they are addressing. So, for instance, and then you really need to add a sentence after introducing the problem to say how the problem was affecting the community, because having the problem is, you've stated the problem before you go to whatever you did, the actions. Can you give a little bit of explanation of how the problem was affecting the community? For I'll give an example here. One of the examples I gave in my leadership and influence essay was how I started a mentorship program. So yes, a mentorship program, meaning I we came up as a group and I started the group, and then we used to go around schools talking to students to work hard, and this is how I introduced it. As a banker in 2014, I noted that the education standards in my constituency were low. Can you see the first sentence of that leadership example? Anyone knows, can now read and know that the problem is low education standards. And then I continued and said how this problem was affecting the community. One, it was promoting antisocial behavior because of the dropouts, school dropouts. And then I think it was really not preparing young people for the future. And that means they'll also have probably um, outcomes in life that were not really what are meant, what we need to have in a country that where we say we have sorted the future of our young people. So we were not preparing young people to be, maybe I would say, responsible citizens if they are not going to finish their schooling. So it's not just mentioning the problem, which is low education standards. It's also going and mentioning how that problem was affecting the community, and in this way promoting antisocial behavior, things to do with drug abuse, things to do with early marriages or pregnancies. And then you have now explained your situation, and you have now also kind of given the context, someone can see what the problem is. And then the task is, what were you required to do? So then you can explain that this needed addressing because, 1, 2, 3, because once we make sure that young people finish schooling, we, apart from ensuring that they'll have a bright future, we also ensure that we have a community that has less crime, has less early marriages and all that. So then you go to the actions. So this is where you explain, and this is the meat of the essay. This is the main thing of your leadership example, and it should take more words. So it should take more words explaining what exactly did you do. So for me, I would say, so I started an initiative, Maragua Mentorship Program. So, and how do you demonstrate influence? Just see how I phrase this sentence. I started with 5 members, of which we went to the same primary school, and they had gone through university, and then we approached more people through using WhatsApp. Just when you say social media, really say what are the exact platform that you used. Is it WhatsApp? Is it Facebook? Or is it a Google form where people could fill their details if they're interested? And then saying how I explained to them the goal of the mentorship program. It was to mentor young people to work hard and to work smart, and to also to support the ones that were needy and probably do some fundraising to take them through high school. So If you and then you give the results that probably one of the things I used was from 5 members we were able to get more like more 25 more members, and this we became a group of 30. So already whoever is reading your essays know this person is influential, because if you start an initiative and you start with 5 members and then you've gotten to 30, already that's influence. The other thing you have to add is, who did you speak to? You don't just wake up and walk into a school. Of course, you have to approach and go and say, introduce yourself to the head teacher, book a date, all those kind of things. So if you need to explain those things, how you do those things, like how did you do. So the idea is put them as step by step, explaining briefly, not going into details because of the word limit. So, and at the end of the day, then say, how many schools did you visit? So I used to say, as of 2018, we had visited over 100 schools, you know. And then the last sentence of that essay was, of not the essay, but of the example, due to the success of the program, that's mentorship program, I was nominated by the county education board to be a board member of one of the local high schools in the community. So again, indirectly, you're saying the county education board recognizes my leadership skills. Indirectly, you're kind of a humble brag. So if you've done things in your life and they've led to your promotion at work, they have led probably for you getting maybe people who have gone through Yali or Mandela Washington Fellowship, um, then link to whatever led to you getting the fellowship, or you getting Yali, or you getting the promotion. So kind of saying you've been recognized for those things. That's how you link whatever you want to say. And so if you really want to stand out, because I finished on structuring the leadership example, please come up with 3 different examples. Some people have been writing a narrative of 3 issues that are interlinked. It's like a continuation of, I did this, then you go to for 500 words. No, there are very separate, distinct examples. One could have happened 5 years ago, another one could have happened 3 years ago, another one could have happened 2 months ago. Totally different. So, and they need to have their time. So say when. So please do not give your job description. I work for, some people start their leadership example, I work for organization X, where I do X and X and X and X. Really? No. You're just giving your job description. And Chevening is not interested in that. They're interested in the problems you solved in that position. So you'd rather sit while working as a legal officer for Project X. I encountered this problem. So that way, now you have started your essay in the right way. I really do not want to spend more time on this, but it's a key issue I have noted, that people are not getting the STAR approach right. And there is no shortcut. You have to use the STAR approach for your leadership essay. Maybe the other thing I can add is that having a conclusion, and the conclusion of your leadership essay should be very brief and just discuss leadership. Like the Chevening Scholarship will develop my leadership skills. You can give examples of the skills. What kind of skills do leaders have? Through maybe how can do you anticipate Chevening developing your leadership skills? So if you really understand the scholarship, it means that it picks the best of the best in every country. So even interacting with our Chevening scholars, knowing what kind of problems they're dealing in their own countries, people in your field. So let's say you are addressing food insecurity. So, countries like in semi-arid areas, they might have their own issues, but they also have countries that go through food insecurity because of things like flooding and disasters and conflict. So you kind of learn how being in such a team, that means your leadership skills will be sharpened. You'll also attend Chevening events. Some of them are meant to train you on certain aspects of leadership. You'll also get communication skills, and I think also interpersonal skills. Learning in a multi in a multicultural background, where you probably in a uni with over 150 students from over 150 countries. Those kind of interactions you learn how to live with people who are not like you, people who might not agree with you. So all those kind of things contribute to your leadership skills. So, and you can mention, but it's need to be very, very brief. How Chevening. So don't say things like don't focus on saying things like probably I believe the Chevening scholarship will do this and this. You'd rather say things like the Chevening scholarship, just go direct. In fact, something I've been telling people, avoid using I believe, avoid using I hope, avoid using I think in your factual statements. I hope we've gotten that right. I want to move next to how to write your networking essay. And for the networking essay, this is an essay where you prove that you are able to network, you're able to build professional relationships that lead to your growth. So, why is this really, really important? Because Chevening is giving you an opportunity. And one of the problems that we have is that Chevening is looking for people who will leverage on the opportunity to grow themselves. Because I can tell you, you can come from the same country, get a Chevening scholarship, go and do the same course, but you will end up very differently based on how you use the opportunity. And all the determining factors is how you network. What kind of events will you be attending? How do you present yourself? How do you talk to people? Do you are you the person who can take an initiative and approach people? So these essays looking for that. And how do you do that? Do you prove by showing how you've networked and how networked has led to your professional growth? So one of the challenges people have in this essay is because you're leaders in one way or the other, you veer off and start discussing how other people benefited. And that's not what Chevening is looking for. Of course, there are people, scholars who've argued that you can talk about the how the other party benefited. But for me, I think that is kind of you have limited word count. So focus on how you benefited from those networks. Again, show that you are the one who initiated. Don't say I went to a conference and someone noted my passion for this. And no, it is always you who should show initiative. Like, and this is how you phrase it. In March 2022, you can start like that. In March 2022, I attended the annual, let's say in your country, there is the stakeholders forum for people involved in, let's say, human rights. And then in the conference, one of the speakers was X. You put the name, who is the director of Y, wherever the organization. I was impressed by their presentation. So after their presentation, I approached them because I am interested in learning more about that topic. Please don't say that topic, just say the topic, the name of the topic. And then from that, say how you requested them to be to be your mentor, and then explain how you've been keeping you've maintained contact. Is it through phone calls? Is it through coffee chats or emails? And then say when the same when the organization, that person's organization now, required probably an intern or required someone who could draft a document, you are approached. And this is how you explain a networking example. So you can see I've stopped, you actually stop at the point where you benefited. That will be a perfect networking example. And there should be three of them. So, and once you write the three of them examples, then you can have a conclusion. One of the things that I see in the networking examples that I that always is that the phrasing, people say a lot of unnecessary things. You need to say exactly what you're required to say. So drop things that are not adding. So, and professional growth could be collaborations with people who are your seniors. So you kind of learn from them. It could also be things like getting a job. It could also be benefiting from mentorship. It could also be people who kind of also review your Chevening essays because you've met them in a forum. You know, one of the things I might want to really insist is while writing these essays, let the reader know your networks. This was one of the feedback that came from the reading committees last year, that applicants are not able to show their networks. So if you're a lawyer or an advocate, I know in Kenya there is the Law Society of Kenya, and there are conferences and there are things people attend. So could you implicitly mention that you're actually a member? So when you say in 2019 I attended the annual Law Society of Kenya conference as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya in Diani. In the conference, maybe you had someone speaking about AI. I don't know whether there was no was there AI in 2019. I'm just making things up, but wherever, and maybe this is something you're interested in, or how climate change law, things you're interested in. I mean, I'll just you'll show the reader or whoever is looking at your essays how you network and what your networks are. If your networks are in Rotary or Rotaract, if your networks are in Toastmasters, all those groups you attend to, if you're in a volunteering network in your country, or activists doing stuff on several issues, be it climate change or gender, all those kind of things, just let the reader know what kind of networks you are in, you know yeah, because they are really important. Just don't just give examples. While giving those examples, let the reader know what your networks are. And the other thing I want to finish on is please, 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 even if you go for a conference, you'll never network with everyone. And even if you network with more than one person, there's always one that will stand out. So use one person, don't say a group. Use one person. So you always use one, because you also have the word limit. And the person you network with, please remember to mention their titles, not just the name. Give the name and the title. And please remember, tuning is focused on how you benefited from that relationship, and you showing that you're the one who initiated it. They are not the ones who got impressed by your work and then they approached you. No. So, and if you veer off and start discussing how you met someone and someone helped your organization, for example, let's say you have a community-based organization, or you have, whatever, an NGO you lead, and the NGO ended up benefiting more people because of that network, then that's a leadership example. And that's a mistake most applicants make, because there is a thin line between networking and the leadership. Because when you network, you end up, if you're a leader, you end up become helping more people. So please end your networking essay at the point where you benefited. Do not go back explaining how many people benefited and all that, because when people benefit, then it's more of a leadership essay. And sometimes when someone is reading applicants essays, they can see all those kind of things and see this is more of leadership and not networking. um, Maybe the conclusion of your networking essay is really, really important, and it's something you need to think of if you're shortlisted, even before going for your interview. Of course, probably in the future we'll have videos on how to do the interviews when you get shortlisted. But one thing to mention is one of the questions that I was asked in my interview, um, which happened on 12th of March 2019, was for you to achieve your career plan, or for you to achieve the objectives you have in your career plan, who do you need to network with? So while you write your essays, think about that question, because it will give you a glimpse of who you need to network with and how to write the conclusion. Of course, it's very short, so you don't go into details when writing the essay, but think these are the questions I would really want you to answer while writing the conclusion of your networking essay. So, how are you planning to network while in the UK and when you go back home to your country? Number two, who are you going to network with while as a scholar in the UK and when you go back to your country? And to what end are you planning to network? So these questions which are connected. So you can conclude and say, as a Chevening scholar, don't say, if I get the Chevening scholarship, you have used more words. Shorten it and just say, as a Chevening scholar, I am planning to network, I'm planning to build relationships or professional relationships with the lecturers, with other Chevening scholars in my field, by actively participating in events organized by the university and the Chevening Secretariat, such as the Best of British. If you go to the Chevening website, you'll see Best of British events. So, and one of them, which I got a chance of attending, was attending the Houses of Parliament. So, and interacting with the people who work at the House of Commons in London. And sometimes you can go to the Welsh Parliament in Wales, and you can also go to the one in Scottish, and also sometimes in the one in Northern Ireland, which are the nations that make up the UK. And there's all the events on climate change, issues also on startups, if you're interested in issues with startups. So all these kind of events. So you need to, of course, don't go into details, but just know that. Because in your interview, then you can actually explain into details how you plan to network while in the UK and when you go back to your country in order to grow in your career. So, the other thing I might want to mention is these are things you need to know and just mention very briefly, because the conclusion of your networking essay is very, very brief. It should be not more than 2 sentences. I also ask myself, please, if you can, and you know the Chevening alumni community in your country, I know the one in Kenya is called the Kenya Chevening Alumni Network. So please, if you can mention it, the better. The global one, there is a Chevening Connect, which is kind of the LinkedIn of Cheveners, called Chevening Connect. But I really don't think that saying 55,000 alumni is going to add any value right now, because everyone knows it's 55,000. So I would rather talk about something else other than the number of 55,000 alumni right now. Uh, uh, of course, it grows every year. So I want now to move on from the networking essay and go to the third essay, that is the studying in the UK essay. And this essay, the readers of the readers of the essay are looking for someone who exactly knows what they want to study and why they can actually justify the why they want to study those courses, you know, and how do you show that you've researched your courses. So it is by going deep and looking at the modules, knowing the lecturers, knowing the kind of problems your course will be preparing you to address in your country. The first thing that you need to have for this essay is an introduction. So, and the introduction basically shows your motivation for choosing certain courses or courses in a certain field. So, and I really want to insist on this point because I've seen it um, with a few essays. So, you need to know a problem that you want to address, and that is what has led you to study the course you're choosing. What is the problem? And how much do you know about the problem? Because you can say things and someone can actually challenge you. So, for instance, in my case, I used the food insecurity in Kenya being a semi-arid country, and of course, over two-thirds of the country is semi-arid. Gave statistics on food insecurity and how it was affecting the communities. And then the last sentence of the introduction of the studying in the UK essay, the last sentence was like, this has motivated me to pursue, sorry, this has motivated me to pursue a course in agriculture and development or food security and development in order to address the food insecurity challenges in Kenya and achieve SDG 2, which is on zero hunger. So, what am I saying? You really need to know about the problem you want to address. And sometimes it's so serious because when I read some essays, I can tell this person doesn't know why they're studying this course. Don't just be someone who's looking to study in the UK without really having a plan why you want to do certain courses. And remember, the next essay which I'll discuss, but I want to mention it right now, is the career plan. Remember also, whatever you choose to study should also be linked to your career plan. So honestly, you can't say you want to study climate change and development and say you want to have a career in gender, promoting gender stuff and everything, you know, why not study gender? Because there are courses on gender. Again, you can't really say, as much as climate change and food security are related, if you really want to address food insecurity in your country, then study courses on food security, not courses on climate change. Otherwise, let's leave people who want to address climate change issues to study MSc climate change and development or climate change policy. So look at the problem. Always think of the problem that is leading you to study certain courses. I think don't overuse statistics while introducing the problem. Yes, use statistics, but don't overuse them. Key things every time, the first time you mention an abbreviation, please write it in full, because people write a lot of things and then you don't know the meaning of those abbreviations. So the first time you use an abbreviation in your essay, you write it in full. Um, so, and the other thing is that when you're writing these essays, please also note that the introductions really kind of, they should be good, they should be to the point, like 3 sentences of, and then move on now to the body of the essay, which is now discussing the courses. So, another thing I've noted while looking at the essays is that um, if you're using statistics, then use the latest ones. So don't say, according to a report in 2019, food security or food insecurity in whatever was like this. Then we most likely there are statistics for 2022, or even there could be even statistics for 2023. So use the latest statistics if you have to use statistics. I would also not, of course, people write about citation and referencing. Instead of putting into brackets saying Nigeria has this and this and this and then put in brackets XYZ 2023, you know, the way we do Harvard referencing. Why not? We kind of discourage people to use brackets, especially in citations. You'd rather go direct and say, according to a report by the World Food Program, according to a 2022 report by the World Food Program, Nigeria XXXXX, you know, instead of saying Nigeria has this and then you put at the end the brackets WFP something 2022. So focus on the using the, we call it the integrated citation, where the citation is within the sentence and not put into brackets at the end. So limit the use of brackets, limit the use of links. So if you want to say you've been highlighted, you've appeared on TV, and there's a link or a YouTube link, or you have a blog, please, probably your essays will be read when they are printed. And when they are printed, no one really knows what the link says. So focus on explaining things, you know, without really using the links. So going to the structure of the studying the UK essay, assuming you have your 3 courses ready, then you need to go directly and say, my first choice is MSc Climate Change and Development at the University of Reading, for example. Don't assume people write MSc Climate Change and Development. You're writing in full sentences. So you're not even, one of the things is that people are told, do not write in bullets, not write in, you know, write in full sentence. So my first choice is MSc Agriculture and Development at the University of Reading. You end at that point. So then you move on. I would rather go in a very strategic way or structural way, discuss the university, and then come down and discuss the course. So the university appeals to me because it's the best university in the UK in agriculture and forestry courses. And this implies that I'll gain world class knowledge on how to address climate change in Bangladesh, for example. So, but if you leave your sentence at the point where you say the University of Reading is highly ranked, is the best university in the UK or highly ranked in climate change or whatever agriculture and forestry courses, then that appears like you just copied and pasted it in your essay from the university website. So every time you discuss a reason, make it more appear, link it to the problem in your country that you want to address. So I'll go back and I give you this example. One of the reasons I studied MSc Agriculture and Development at the University of Reading was a module called Agriculture Project Planning and Management in Developing Countries. So, but and then every time you mention, before I forget, every time you mention a module, mention the module convener or the lecturer, because some modules are taught by several lecturers. One comes for two topics, another one comes for two topics. So, but there's always a module leader or a convener, or sometimes there's always one lecturer for the whole thing, for the whole module. So, every time you mention a module, mention also the professor or the lecturer who teaches it. This will show that you actually researched your courses. So, this is how I phrased mine. After saying why the university appeals to me, then I went now to the course. So you can see how it's like very systematic. This is this is my first choice. Then I explain why the university. And remember, I'm not saying the university is highly ranked and leaving it at that point. I'll ask you a question. What? So what? When you say a university is highly ranked, so what? So you need to add a qualifying statement to show how that links to the problem you introduced. So in terms of the module, I said the program or the course is appealing because of the module Agriculture Project Planning and Management in Developing Countries taught by Professor Chitur. I think it was Professor Chitur, which will impart me with skills and competences on designing and implementing agriculture and rural projects in Kenya to alleviate poverty and enhance incomes of small scale farmers. Can you see how you're linking the last bit of the sentence is now picked from my understanding of the problem in Kenya, but not saying the program appeals to me because of the module X taught by Y. If you leave it at that point, surely your essays are not outstanding. You need to link the module, mention the lecturer, and in the same sentence, show how that module will help you address the problem you introduced in your studying the UK essay. The other thing probably I would want to mention is one of the feedback that came from Chevening in last year's essays is applicants overusing rankings. And I would really, there are so many things to discuss about a course. So don't focus on rankings. And in fact, some people are using rankings that are like top 20, top 30. Honestly, if rankings are so important to you, don't use rankings if something is not top 10. So don't use rankings if something is not top 10. And again, a university might be highly ranked, but the course you're doing, that university is not highly ranked in that field. So I'll give an example of things like agriculture, and I know agriculture and forestry courses. So some courses like Cambridge, some universities like Cambridge and Oxford are highly ranked, but they might not have really very content heavy courses on agriculture and food security. So you find that universities like Reading and Newcastle rank higher in food security and agriculture in that field of agriculture and forestry courses than Oxford and Cambridge. So really, before you say you want to go to a university because of the ranking, probably you might also want to think of the rankings by subject. That might be more important. Ranking by subject, because they are there, those rankings. And of course, use the latest rankings if you have to use them. I think already the 2023 rankings are already out for World QS rankings. But you don't have to use rankings. You know why? There are other important aspects of the module that you can discuss. Sorry, not the module, but the course. Things like how the course is taught. So, if a course is taught by seminars or workshops or lectures, how does that appeal to you? And how do you phrase that as a reason for you for choosing that program? That's what we call the mode of delivery. Then we also have the how the course is assessed, mode of assessment. So if you're assessed through uh, group discussions, or if you're assessed through exams, or if you're assessed through practicals, if there are such practicals or group projects or real projects. What does that mean in you choosing the program? So those are things for you to discuss. Some of the ones that I really like is if a course has a field trip. I know some courses in international development have field trips to developing countries. So what does that mean? Don't just say the course appeals to me because there is a field trip. So you need to say the program appeals to me because it involves a field trip to a developing country, which will complement theoretical knowledge gained from the classroom or from the lectures with with real life experiences in projects in developing countries. So, and of course, if you come from your developing country, then you can link that and see how now that makes the course interesting to you. Of course, you have a word limit, so you really want to focus on the key things. So this is not the place where you want to talk about football matches because of word limit. You don't want to discuss. You want to go to Manchester so that you can watch Man United matches, or you want to study in London so that you can watch Chelsea matches or Arsenal matches. So those things you can mention them in the interviews because the interviews has more time, it's more relaxed, and it's like a conversation. So you can discuss all those kind of things. But here, because of the word limit, I would say maybe focus on. Of course, you can talk about tourists a little bit, but always start with academic reasons. Give more weight, more words to academic reasons why you want to study a certain university, and then probably you can now give other reasons why you want to go to the uni, that specific uni, but don't use so many words discussing things that are not really academic. That's something I've noted. Then I would really want now to move on, and maybe before I move on to the last essay, discuss the conclusion of your studying in the UK essay. You are concluding an essay on studying in the UK. So always remember what you're concluding. So this is how you conclude it. What does studying in the UK mean to you? So, of course, you can mean studying in the UK will impart me with knowledge and skills. You can give an example of the knowledge and skills you're maybe project management or designing, effective policies in public health that will be key in, in addressing this problem in, don't say my country, mention the name of the country. My country is two words. Your country probably will be one word most of the times. So that's how I'll put it, and it should be only one sentence. So don't conclude you are studying in the UK essay by discussing other things outside studying in the UK. And remember, you're studying in the UK so that you can go and address a problem. So in your country, so that means you have to link, and this is something probably in my blog it might not be very clear, but looking back I can say I would have improved on my conclusion on my studying in the UK, because I think for that one I didn't mention studying in the UK, I said other things. So always remember that you're concluding an essay on studying in the UK, so you need to mention what does studying in the UK mean to you, and what do you think it will help you gain, and what will that mean for your country, in one or two sentences, please. So finally, we look at the career plan essay, and for the career plan, I think this essay is one of the easiest, one of the ones that allows you to dream and be whatever you want. But as that appears to be simple, please note that a smart career plan is also, we say it's specific, measurable, achievable, and realistic, and especially realistic, and then time bound. So how do you phrase your career plan essay? And this is, you've given a free ticket to dream. So again, you start with an introduction of the problem probably you want to address in your country. So if you want to address things like climate change, you can give a few statistics sparingly, not a lot, not many of them. Sparingly use statistics to explain the problem in your country. And then from then, say this has motivated you to pursue a career in addressing climate change, because this is not now studying, this is a motivation for a certain career. and then say to contribute to, if you're looking at Kenya's climate change adaptation and mitigation, and say what that means, the end goal. I mean, you know the words to use because you know the phrases that will make your essays, So if it's human rights, this has motivated me to pursue, probably after giving some two sentences on the issues on human rights in your country, then you can go and say, this has motivated me to pursue um, a career in international human rights law, and then say, are there gaps between our laws and international human rights laws? That means as a country. So linking those, and then you're actually now showing why you're pursuing that career. Again, remember, it's career, it's not studying now. This has motivated to pursue a career in. So the career is now what we're addressing here. So after that introduction, you give your three sets of career plans. I call them three because one is short term, the other one is medium term, and the other one is long term. The other time I was going through someone's essays and I asked them, you've written a career plan. What do you want to be in the short term? Or which organization do you want to work for? And they were like, I just want to address issues in climate change. I was like, no, I keep on saying in these videos time and time again, even the videos I made last year on career plan, your career plan needs to be specific. You have to mention the position you want to occupy and the organization. And this is not saying I want to work for one of the UN agencies. There are so many UN agencies. You need to know the exact one that you want to work for. Don't say you want to be you want to work for governments have many departments, and so remember the position and the organization. So don't even also say that uh, in the short term and then put into brackets 3 to 5 years. No, just put it in the short term. If you put brackets and say 3 to 5 years, no, you're increasing your ad, you're reducing your ad limit to say something you've already said by saying in the short term. So you'd say, this is how I phrased mine. In the short term, I'm planning to start a community-based organization based in Murang'a County that will be training farmers on good agricultural practices like conservation agriculture, bookkeeping, because of course, the linkage between farmers who keep good records and everything, they can get loans from banking, or training farmers on a number of things, all those kind of things you think of an NGO can train farmers on. And then I would say, to achieve this, I'm planning to partner with, I mentioned organizations including banks that give loans to farmers or credit organizations. I mentioned NGOs that are also working, or development partners, because mine being a local CBO, community-based organization, will work with bigger NGOs, including the FCDO now, which by then used to be called DFID or UK Aid. Now it's called FCDO, Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office. So, and especially if they're working on the same areas, then you can even mention which have similar projects like ABCD. So, and then I went ahead and explained that these initiatives will address maybe knowledge gaps that farmers had. It will also improve on the incomes of small scale farmers and reduce poverty, as well as enhancing or food security in the community. So can you see in that example, I'm really specific on what I want to do, the objectives, the partnerships I'm looking forward to, and what's the end goal? The end goal is improve farmers' incomes and also enhance food security. Then that's the format to use for each of the career plan. So in the medium term, I said in the medium term, I want to be the county executive committee member or the minister for agriculture in the county, which is more of a district depending on how you come from. So in this role, I am planning to do this and this. See the confidence in this role. I am planning to work with the county assembly, which more of they make laws and my position is more executive. So work with the county assembly to make laws that, what kind of laws do you need to support farmers to grow food or to address food insecurity in the area where you come from. And also maybe sink more boreholes, because now you're in government. Now you can do things like sinking more boreholes, which can be used in semi-arid areas. You can employ more extension officers to train, or agricultural extension officers to train farmers. So all those things now a minister can do of a certain state in charge of agriculture. Remember, this is not a national position, this is just for that place. So I mentioned all those things, and then I said, how do they what are we looking to achieve by doing this? The end goal again is to improve the food security of the county in general. And then I would go, in the long term, I'm planning to be the member of parliament for constituency X, and also the chair of the parliamentary committee on trade, agriculture and cooperatives in the National Assembly. So you can see how those are very specific. I'm not just saying I want to become an MP without saying which constituency, and I'm saying even which committee, because in parliament there are many committees and you need to know which ones. So, and then in this role, I explain now, I'll build on the successes I had at the lower levels of government to bring it to the national government, make national laws that now address food insecurity at the national level. At the committee level, it would also mean that I would be involved in trade negotiations, and especially international trade. And because the UK is a major trading partner with Kenya, I mentioned how we would foster the relations through trading agricultural products, and this will also improve the relations between the two countries. Chevening likes hearing that. You know why? Chevening is a scholarship by the Foreign Ministry, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is called the FCDO now, Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office. So, meaning it's meant to improve relations between countries. So, if there's a way, if you want to study science and technology stuff, and there is a UKRI, United Kingdom Research and Innovation Council, and then there are partnerships that UKRI can have with one of the research councils in your country, then you need to add that by these partnerships, this will also improve relations between the two countries. So if you're studying on things to do with education, and remember when Boris Johnson was the prime minister and Uhuru was the president, there was this education pact between the two countries. So addressing issues to do with girl child education, which they said every girl should have a continuous 14 years of education, those kind of initiatives, you bring them and say such partnerships will improve relations between the two countries. Chevening will like hearing that. But of course, one thing I tell applicants, please do not try to force the UK into your essays. It doesn't have to be there, actually. It's only that it appears good when it's there, but if it can't, it can't. So you can go and look at what the UK is doing in your country. Of course, also don't use that fact. Please don't overuse it. Like, just pick one area and just do not write so many things about the linkages, because of course you can't do all those linkages. You'll only pick one that is relevant to what you want to study. I want to also conclude on the career plan essay by saying that you're concluding now a career essay, so focus on the career. So then you say, generally, Chevening Scholarship will help you um, solve food insecurity in your country and achieve you're looking at the Chevening Scholarship in general now and the linkage to your career, address food insecurity, and if there is a development blueprint for your country. I know when I was writing my essays, there was the Big Four agenda by the last government, which where food security was a key cog of the Big Four, and also there was the Vision 2030, and then you can also link that to SDGs. And of course, you're not addressing all the SDGs. So if your work is generally into SDG 1 and 2, where mine was poverty and also the one on hunger, then mention that Chevening Scholarship will prepare you to address food and maybe food insecurity challenges in your country, and achieve vision whatever 2030 or 2050, and also the SDGs, or contribute to the solutions to those problems in your country. So the key thing I would really want to insist on writing the career plan essay is knowing exact position you want to be in and the exact organization. Don't leave it people uh, guessing which organization you want to work for, and go to their websites, search for the position, see what people do in the roles you're dreaming. So if you want to become, let's say, the director of basic education in your country, and I mean basic education because they address education before, I think, is it before university? So whatever below university, what kind of initiative do you want to, what kind of role does the director of basic education play in your country? So those are the things. If you want to become the minister for, let's say, health, what things could you do? What kind of improvements would you make? How do they work with parliament in your country? All those kind of things are the things to think now practically and bring them into your essays. Pick the main ones based on also the courses that you've selected, and then you'll have written quality essays that will guarantee you at least shortlisting. I want to conclude by saying that as much as you're writing 4 essays, this scholarship is one coherent application. So all the 4 essays speak of the same person. So it's more of saying, I am a leader because I have this potential. I have done this and this before. If granted the opportunity, I can network to my advantage, and I can show because I have networked before by doing this and this to my advantage. And if I go to the UK, I want to study ABCD, which is important in addressing problems Y, B, wherever in my country. And once I study this, I'm going to have this career plan that will address the challenges which I mentioned probably while introducing the career plan essay and while also introducing the studying the UK essay. This is why I tell applicants, when you're looking for someone to review your essays, please don't send your leadership and influence and leave the others. Because someone who has helped applicants review, I can tell you, I have read things and I've told applicants, do you know what you've written in your networking essay could actually be more of a leadership example if you phrase it this way? And probably because your leadership essay is weak, then you can look for more networking examples. Or I could tell you, based on the courses you're selecting, you look like you'd work better in a certain career, but not the courses. So either change the courses or change the career plan so that they can fit. So when you're looking for someone to help you, please approach them and send to them all the 4 essays together. A few tips in networking. Please don't just message people and then dump your essays in their inbox, be it LinkedIn or Facebook. Honestly, or WhatsApp. Honestly, I don't look at documents through WhatsApp. So especially for the people who registered for this and they've attended this, I can see we are 24 right now. So out of the 45 people who registered, we have 24 people, and these are the 24 people I expect to reach out to me. We organize your one-on-one 30 minutes feedback once you've written your essays. Please do not reach out to me after the month ends because I also have deadlines. And you know what? When you're looking for help, we cannot work with your deadlines. You'll work with my own deadline. So make sure you reach out in the next few days once you've written your essays, if you attended this live, and if you had registered, so that I can help you in giving you feedback through a Zoom call or a Google Meetup. The thing which I'm mentioning again is how you approach people. Introduce yourself. Don't just go to Instagram and say hi. I mean, I stay 2 days without going to Instagram sometimes. Will I really go and respond to a hi when I know I'll be there for 5 minutes and leave or 10 minutes and leave? No, really. The best place sometimes for me it's LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the easiest place I mean, you can connect with me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, but the best place to message me is on LinkedIn because I'm always on LinkedIn and my email is always open. Then I'll once we have that chat, then I'll give you my email address where you'll send your essays. So you don't panic and send them to my inbox. No, that's not how it works. So hopefully, I wish you all the best in your applications. I hope to see some of you reaching out in the next few weeks, those who have written their essays. And please use these tips. Go back to the blogs. The blogs might have more details. Check the other videos I've done because always I say things in this video that probably I might have more issues to say in other videos. And I wish you all the best in your application and hopefully to see you around next year, time like this, starting your master's programs in the UK. And before I forget, Chevening application also clarifies your goals. By the time I finished applying the Chevening scholarship, even if I didn't get it that year, I was so clear on what I wanted in life because of writing it so much and also applying for other scholarships. So please, if you've not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe because I'll be posting other scholarships through the community page. There are posts. So that's my main communication. So I'll be posting some scholarships there. I also post through my LinkedIn. I post scholarships available. And so please, let's continue interacting and all the best in your application. Have a nice weekend. Thank you very much. I would want to give you a chance to, if you have questions, ready to answer them before I forget. Any questions, you can just post them in the group. I can see Kiprop saying you're doing a nice job. Thanks, Kiprop, and all the best in your application. I think I answered the question on how best to conclude when it came up. Asante is also to say thank you in Swahili. Thank you very much. Very helpful. I'm glad this was helpful to you guys. Anything else? I'm waiting for the to see whether you have questions because they kind of there's a time lag between when you post a question and when it gets to me. So yes, we have a question here. When exactly do we send the essays and through what medium? So this is what happens when you have incorporated the guidelines I've given, either through the blogs and also through this channel. You reach out to me through LinkedIn. You tell me I attended this session. So then we kind of have that chat between me and you, and then I'll give you my email address. Otherwise, I'm not going to give my email address in public here. So I'll only give to the people who approach me when, and I have a list of you who have attended. So the few not because not the 45 who registered. We've had 20. I think the highest we've had at some point was 26. So we'll focus on those 26 or 25, those who approach. So this also could be people who've already written their essays and they'll use this to fine tune their essays. So as soon as possible, reach out. But please make sure you've done your homework well because you don't want to misuse your one shot. Because I don't do another 30-minute session, so I'll just do once, and once is enough. So thank you for the nice explanation. Thank you too. Thanks for the insights. We'll get in touch for the essays reviews. For fully confidential secretary, what type of leadership essay do you need, Mr. Sam? To be honest, I'm not the one who needs your essays. It is Chevening that needs your essays. And also, I really don't understand what you mean by a fully confidential secretary. What type of or maybe if you're working as a secretary, maybe you might think of an executive assistant and what kind of jobs. Maybe some MBA courses could be useful. And but in terms of leadership, your leadership essays do not have to be connected to the courses you're going to do. Because the only thing I would say for your leadership essays is that they need to be diverse. So, for example, if you're working in a law firm, don't give all the three examples about you working in a law firm. So, probably you can have one example where you've volunteered in a community project. It could be even a cleanup, it could be even a mentorship thing in your community, not necessarily related to law. So, I would say have a balance between your leadership essays so they don't have to I studied MSc Food Agriculture and Development, but my first essay was addressing issues to do with education in my community. The one not related to agriculture at any point or food. So that's the same thing. So just have that balance, and I'm sure you'll get it right. So the content doesn't really matter in terms of if you can write the essays correctly and follow the STAR approach. So there is no linkage between what you write in the essays and the courses or what you want to be. That's what the career plan. Um, English language teacher, can be that considered as leadership? I mean, it's not the title. I keep on saying. I think K2 3, you'll have to go and watch the videos. For the leadership essays, it's not about the title. It's a problem you solved, and explaining what exactly do you do using the STAR approach. So I think that we've already addressed through those the essays and the other master classes. This is the third one, and I'll say if possible you can watch all of them, because might be helpful for you, and I address some of the questions also in those videos. So is one name sufficient when mentioning your networks? I really don't understand what you mean. One, I mean, if you're in several, like two, mention the two of them. So for example, you could be a lawyer, so you're involved in the Law Society of Kenya. If I don't know what kind of society any country has, but you could also be in Rotary, and you could also be in Toastmasters, and you could also be in a community volunteering project in your community. So whichever where you feel they come in, just use them. You could also be maybe in the Institute of Human Resource Professionals in your country. So, and that's a network where you attend meetings and you get to interact with people. So depending on the examples you're giving, remember again, we only need three examples. So mention the ones that are relevant to the three examples you're giving. So excellent and informative session indeed. Thanks a million for such initiatives. Keep up. Thank you so much. Thank you. How do we get in touch? I've just explained. You reach out to me through LinkedIn, through a message. You can also message me on Instagram, but you'll just have to remind me the sessions you attended. So because this is the third one, and I know I'm still getting messages from people who attend the first one, the second, and then through that personal conversation, I'll give you my email address where you send your essays, and then we look at our schedules. We plan a Zoom meeting or a Google meetup. Then through that meetup, before then, I'll ask you to send you your essays. So normally, I don't review your essays like put comments. We'll read them with you together in 30 minutes, and I give you feedback. I'll also allow you to record the meeting if you want, only for you, for your use, not to be shared out there. That's my format, because I also want people to get the initiative and come and listen to. Otherwise, if you just start picking essays for review, people will just cobble words together and expect you to go and correct and rewrite the essays for them. So that's why I've taken up this format, because also to give you a chance to come and attend and ask questions. So again, people will ask me where are my social media channels. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll also find my social media channels, and my blog is also there. And also, you'll find other videos on books that I read and other things that I'm doing that might be interesting to you. We might be hosting other people who got other scholarships. So keep in touch. Subscribe to the video. Sorry, to the YouTube channel, and also you can also enable your notifications. And every time we have an event, you'll get notified every time it starts or when we are planning one. For the four essays, are we going to write three examples for each? You only use three examples for leadership and networking. Those are the three examples you use. For the studying in the UK, you only write three courses. And for the career plan, we divide the career plan into short term, medium term, and long term. So I don't know whether those are the ones you call examples, because for me, the examples only apply in leadership and networking. Then the three courses, I can't call them examples. And the three parts of your leadership, of your career plan, I can't call them examples. Um, so thank you very much. Just a few seconds. If anyone has a burning question, this is the end of our YouTube live. And in case you have any questions, feel free to comment on the other videos, and I always respond to the comments of the videos. So have a nice afternoon, and thank you very much for being part of this journey. And I hope We'll be celebrating you come next year in June when we'll be shortlisted and have passed the interview and be preparing your bags to come and study in the UK. Thank you very much and enjoy your weekend.